Good morning, everybody. Pastor Rick here, Broadman Baptist Church. This is the Broadman Word for June 4th, 2021. Hope you're having a marvelous day in the Lord. It is a marvelous day to be a Christian, as always. And we just came out of a few days of rain here in Cuyahoga Falls, and it looks like we might have an actually decent, warm day to go out and enjoy. I want to talk to you about a concept today called Gospel Patrons. This comes out of a book called Gospel Patrons by a guy named John Reinhardt. And so the concept is that when God selects somebody to accomplish some powerful kingdom work, he often connects them with folks who are a powerful assistant in their ministry, sort of a godly supercharging of the work of the intended individual on behalf of them and by others. The Apostle Paul had Barnabas, and he also writes about a lady named Phoebe, who were tremendous helps to them. Jesus and the disciples had Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Susanna, and many others, and you can find that in Luke chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. So the concept then is, from the book Gospel Patrons by Reinhardt, he tells a story of historical giants, and one that connected with me very strongly is the story of a guy named William Tyndale. Tyndale took on the task of translating the scriptures from Latin into common English, which was illegal. He defied the king's law to serve God in his quest to bring the Bible to the hands of the common man for the first time in history, to bridge that gap between the church and the authority of priests and the church itself to administer the gospel, and eliminate that by putting the gospel directly into the hands of the believer. What a hero. Going against the king was not a healthy thing to do back then. So, many of us may have heard of Tyndale. If you've been in a church for very long, I hope that you've at least been made aware of the efforts of some of our early biblical heroes. Behind the scenes was a guy who was a real mentor to Tyndale, a champion. He was a businessman, and he was himself considered to be a gospel patron because of his acts. His name was Humphrey Monmouth. I know, a real English name there. Well, he partnered with Tyndale in his work. He was there for Tyndale emotionally, spiritually, and financially. In fact, Monmouth actually served a year in prison for being a helper to Tyndale, and Tyndale actually never had to go to prison. So Monmouth, to some extent, suffered greatly for the gospel because he recognized in Tyndale this massive work that God had selected him to do, and he was going to support that work no matter what he had to do. He gave his time, he gave his emotional support, he gave his money, and in fact, he gave a year of his life in prison. So there are then for us to consider three characteristics of a gospel patron that we can pattern ourselves after. One, from Colossians 3, 1 and 2, joyful giving. They have a heart that seeks the things above, and they are willing to use their resources and put their resources behind doing eternal work. 2, gospel proclamation, proclaiming the gospel for all to hear. Billions of dollars are spent all the time on humanitarian efforts, but those efforts are never more successful than when they are preceded by the gospel. In fact, the gospel and presentation of the gospel through our work of our hands and our lives to help those in need are in fact the precipitous for the spending of the dollars. So then we have personal involvement. These mentors don't just write checks. They get personally involved. Now, hopefully none of us have to go to jail for this, but the point is that Monmouth didn't simply use his financial resources, his business connections. He used his very life to support the work of Tyndale. They give money, these personal involvers. They give money, but more importantly, they give time. They give what they have in time to support the work of those doing the gospel. So the question is then, are you going to be a gospel patron? Are you going to be a joyful giver, a proclaimer of the gospel, and a personal involver to support the work of those who are doing the great works of the gospel on behalf of God? Perhaps you want to be one of the ones doing the great work, doing the powerful work. And it can start by being a patron and associating yourselves with those who are already doing great and powerful things in the kingdom. So listen, the final question then, are you seeking his kingdom personally? Are you backing someone who's uniquely called to do the work of the Lord for greater impact? And then is God calling you to do more? What is your role in the kingdom? What is your piece of the puzzle to fulfill? What is your unique mission as you are gifted to do? Do you know? Are you going to find out? And then are you going to get about doing it with great intention as a gospel patron? Listen, I hope you have a wonderful day today. God loves you. I love you. You are an amazing creation of God, and there is a great big kingdom out there for you to go and find your unique mission to accomplish for his good purposes. Take care. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.